Hey folks, guess who? Yes, the time has come for me to tell the crazy story. On Monday night, my partner Rich had this social event he was going to. I thought, great, I will have the house to myself and I'll be able to make some videos. My friend Mark, who has an account on YouTube called Cosmicity, which I will link to in the description, he makes really cool electronic music. And I finally just emailed him the other day and said, hey, would you mind if I use some of your music in my videos? And he wholeheartedly said yes. I love Mark's music, and I had full permission. He's an independent artist. I had full permission to use his music. I was so excited. So the next video up for me was to take one of my favorite songs by Mark. The shackles of copyright were finally lifted, and I was ready to dance all over the house and celebrate this new freedom. Plus, share with all of you an excellent, amazing dance song. Take one, I'm dancing like a complete madman. Second take, I dance again, kind of crazy. Take three, a little less energy going on there. But I figure I'm just going to edit it all together. Fourth take, I'm just like kind of barely moving around, and I'm trying to just do the weirdest little moves I can without actually expending much energy. I'm not sure when exactly the heart attack happened, but I think it was during this last take. Once I got done with that take, I went and shut off the music, and then I just collapsed. I immediately realized, oh, I should turn the camera off. So you see me reaching up, grabbing the tripod, and pulling the camera down to me so that I can shut it off. You can also hear the noises I'm making, because I'm starting to have trouble breathing. So after shutting the camera off, I laid there and was like, okay, just need to catch my breath. Well, I couldn't. I kept hyperventilating, and if anything, it was getting worse. I took my shirt off because I was also sweating like a pig. And then this pain started spreading down my shoulders and arms. I called my partner Rich. I had a hard time speaking at that point, so all I was able to spit out was like, I was dancing and I am in pain and I don't know. He didn't know what was going on. He thought maybe I fell and broke my leg or something like that, but he could tell just how freaked out and in pain I was, so he just said, I'm coming home now, call 911. I am so grateful that he did that. I mean, several things literally saved my life, and that's the most important one. I called 911, and luckily I live about 3 or 4 blocks away from a fire station. Fire truck and ambulance showed up. I heard them pull up outside. So I go out the front door. A paramedic or fireman came up, and then that's all I remember. I apparently collapsed at about that point, and the paramedics grabbed me right away. I don't know if you can see this. I've got this like nasty bruise on my shoulder. I've got a couple on my sides and blah blah blah. It's part of which I think are either when I collapsed or they grabbed me. They put me in the ambulance and started administering CPR, and they actually shocked me with the paddles. And the reason was apparently my heart had gone into what's known as arrhythmia, which is where it's trying to move, but it's not actually pumping normally, so it's just kind of like blubbering. And that's when Rich got home. He pulls up and he sees me in the back of an ambulance getting CPR. Now, this is after he thought I just broke my leg or something. So, of course, he's freaking out. So they give me CPR, and they resuscitated me right away. Rich comes up, and they start asking him questions, because all I had told them when I came running out of the house is, I was dancing, and I don't know, and I'm having trouble breathing, and blah, blah, blah. But I also wasn't wearing no shoes, because I wasn't wearing shoes around the house, and just didn't occur to me to go put some shoes on. So when the ambulance came, I walked out with no shirt on, no shoes on, just socks and pants and underwear, and telling them that I was dancing, and then I started having these things. So they thought I was on drugs, and so when Rich showed up, they were like, what drugs does he take? And he's like, nothing. He really barely even drinks. No, sir, you have to tell us what drugs he takes. And he's like, he has a kidney transplant, so he takes immunosuppressants and stuff like that. And they're like, no, what narcotics? And I really don't. I mean, I'm so freaking boring. They got me to the hospital, sent me right into surgery, and they made a tiny incision in my groin, They entered my femoral artery, the main artery that goes down your leg, and basically threaded a little wire with a camera on the end of it with a couple tools all the way up my main artery through the trunk of my body. Some of the lining of one of the main arteries leading into the heart had broken loose and gotten lodged right there near the heart. So that's what was causing the problem. So with this instrument, they were able to go in, grab that piece of gunk that was sitting there and pull it out, and then insert a stent, which is basically a tube-shaped structure that goes inside your blood vessel and holds it open and is meant to stay there in place permanently, holding that vessel open and keeping it from narrowing. I did find out I had 95% blockage of that vessel. They wanted to keep me for 48 hours to make sure that nothing further happened, and I guess that's the biggest danger period. So that's the story of how my heart went out. But it's not the end of the story. Once I had the procedure and I was in the hospital for the next couple days, I had lots of time on my hands and I was feeling pretty good. I was using my phone to get on YouTube as much as I could. I couldn't really view a lot of videos, but I could definitely get to the comments pages. I was talking to some people over the phone, like Brian and Katie, and Christopher called me. And
just out for a morning constitution.
What an incredible couple of days. I can't tell you how many hundreds of messages I received. I'm really doing okay. I really am. And if I hadn't been, all of those messages and all of the phone calls and the visits and the flowers and the everything, I certainly would have perked right up. And it certainly kept me very motivated to get out of that hospital and back home and right here on YouTube where I belong. I wasn't even sure I wanted to tell YouTube, to be honest. All of you, I wasn't sure that I wanted to tell you. Because I figured, okay, from what they were saying, the worst is over and then I'd be out in a few days. And I really didn't know that I wanted to make such a big deal out of this and worry everybody and be like, hey, poor me, pay attention to me. But I had to tell Brian, and I had to tell some of my other friends, and Brian asked me, do you mind if I make a video? And I kind of hemmed and hawed over it, and I said, okay, go ahead. And I'm glad I did. Thanks for all of the support you've given me. And beyond that, just all of the friendship and open hearts that you've offered to me, that you've shared with me in my year on YouTube. It's not at all anything that I expected when I put up my first silly little video on this site. But it truly has changed my life. I tell you, there is nobody in my life that I will let malign my YouTube experience, this crazy hobby that people say that I have, that people who aren't on YouTube, they just don't understand it, and they say, why are you spending all your time on this site?
I think I'm getting out tomorrow. Yay!
Shouldn't you be spending more time with your real friends and your real family? And it's so hard to explain to people. There's no difference. There isn't a dividing line of, here are my friends and here are my YouTube friends, and here are my family and here's my YouTube family. It's all one. And I also know that when any of my friends are going through something, I can help. They may live thousands and thousands of miles away on a different continent, perhaps even speak a different language, and yet I can help. And who's to say that's not real? Who's to say that's not love, that's not friendship, that's not caring? Nobody's going to say that around me, I'll tell you that much. So I just wanted to thank all of you. Some of you whom I know very well and love to death. Some I've even met in person. Others of you I've never met in person. We've only exchanged comments. But I've gotten to know your heart a little bit. To all of you, thank you very much. My heart is bigger than it ever could have been because of you.